too. Bitches get money all around the world, cause girls are players too.
All right, how you guys doing? I want to thank you all for coming out. I'm just gonna do a few Q&As with the 4 artists that I've invited here tonight, and hope you guys stay for these interviews because you get to dive deeper into who these artists are. So first up, I want to invite Jay, artist Jay Golding, to the stage. Give it up for Jay. You can use this. Take the mic. Yeah. Okay, Jay. Well, we can turn and face each other. So, Jay, it says you're born in Jamaica?
Yeah, I was born in Jamaica. I moved here when I was 7.
Okay, could you tell me a little bit about how your upbringing has kind of influenced your art?
Yeah, so I actually started drawing when I was 6, right before I left Jamaica. And the first person I saw drawing was actually my uncle. And he was drawing a bunch of cars, but when I decided that I wanted to draw, I just knew, like, intuitively that I wanted to draw faces. And so over the years after I moved here, I would draw a lot of comic book characters, but then there would just be things, little artifacts that would always be in the house, like African masks and things like that, just things that my family would bring back whenever they would go to like Ghana or different places. And my uncles used to make these shirts, these screen printed shirts that said Africa is our home. So there was always just like that relationship between, being Caribbean, but just that strong African presence. So a lot of that just kind of seeped into the work over time. And I would just pull elements from that, comic books, just anything I was interested in.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, the African roots as well. So I just wanted to know if you could speak more about like you being a descendant of the Maroon tribe.
Yeah, so the Maroons, essentially, they're, and you have Maroons in Haiti as well. The Maroons are essentially a collective of different natives. You had the Tainos that were already there in Jamaica, but then you also had, when the British came and brought some enslaved Africans from places like Ghana, some of them they would escape and they ran up into the mountains and they formed different groups. So I'm a descendant of what's called the Akampong Maroons, which is one of the groups of Maroons in a certain part of the island, St. Elizabeth. My great grandmother, who goes by Nana, or went by Nana, she came directly from that village. And so growing up, I didn't really know that, but you know, they were talked about when I was in school in Jamaica. They were like Nanny of the Maroons. She's one of the national heroes, so I would learn about the Maroons, but it wasn't until I went to Ethiopia in 2017, my uncle, we were having discussions that he just kind of shed that light on me. And so that kind of helped to even, that just brought me back into my work even deeper. And I was just started to kind of dive into that and use some of that history to really help me inform the work.
It's interesting that you say that you're, you know, with the African influence in your art, because I see that you also, your pseudonym is Kwame.
Yeah.
And could you speak a little bit more about that and
Yeah,
like
so,
why you chose that?
So Kwame is it's a Ghanaian name, which basically translates to a boy that was born on a Saturday, which is when I was born. And when I went to Ghana in 2019 for my aunt's wedding, we went to Kumasi, one of the states, the Ashanti tribe states, and they did a welcoming ceremony for us, and they gave us our own kente cloth, and they fed us like this mashed up eggs and different things like that, and they gave us all a name. And the name they actually gave me was Kwabena Kanadu, which is a male that was born on a Tuesday. And so after I came back and I was just started to go into the names and what they meant, I decided to just use Kwame instead because I was actually born on a Saturday. And so that's where that came about. And the work that I started, my work expanded after I returned from Ghana, and the color choices and just what I was interested in doing kind of changed a little bit. So I would sign certain pieces that I feel like are pulling from that influence that I felt from Ghana. I would just sign it as Kwame just to kind of pay respect to that culture.
Wow. So could you just talk about those specific pieces that you have, that you bought today, that are for sale as well? Like, could you describe them a little bit for everyone who's in attendance today, or whoever's on the live stream as well?
Okay, yeah. So those 4 pieces, they depict the Dan people from West Africa, the Ivory Coast, or some of them are in Liberia as well. And these specific references that I use for this, they're a group of girls traditionally that they usually perform this ceremony that's kind of like a juggling dance ceremony. They're acrobatic, and the men in the village basically will take them and like toss them around, throw them in the air, and they would have these machete type of knives. They would catch them on the tip of the knives without cutting them, and it's like a whole thing. The village is surrounding them, and they're like dancing. And so I created these recently when I was at a residency in the spring, and it just became a part of the process. Most of the pieces I was doing in the residency were different African mask beings, like figures wearing African masks, and just putting a lot of different textures like paper towel and other mediums into there, which these have as well. So this is just kind of one of those pieces with me just paying respects again, just paying respects to different tribes that, for whatever reason, capture my attention.
Yeah. Where would you say you draw your biggest influence from? Like, if you had to pinpoint 2 to 3 of your things that influence you the most, what would you say they would be?
Okay, so I'm just speaking for right now, like currently.
In these pieces specifically.
In these pieces. Definitely just masks, African masks, body paint, tribal culture, anything like that. A lot of times too is I like to pull from my personal environment. So whatever's in the room with me sometimes is liable to become a part of the piece. So that's a big part of my practice nowadays, just actually just playing off of my environment with whatever subject matter I'm also creating with. And then memory, just sometimes like pulling from experiences. Because I was traveling for almost 2 years during the pandemic, and I was in Mexico for a bit, Jamaica and California and stuff, and a lot of the experiences I had there, I felt like I was on a spiritual journey in a way. You know, there was a lot of, you know, turmoil with some of the people I was with and different things that happened, but it was a beautiful journey nonetheless, and so there was a lot of inspiration that came out of that. So a lot of times now when I'm working, I find that in the process, I'll kind of get transported to an experience, or like just a situation or a memory, or just like a ceremony that I may have partaken in. And so it's very much the biggest influence. Yeah, it's definitely much just like cultural, and the biggest way for me to kind of the biggest reference point for me is like just African culture, or any type of indigenous culture, really. Because even I have a series of paintings that's inspired by the Mayan culture in Mexico. So.
Yeah. Where can say if people were to want to see other pieces of yours, where would they be able to find that? Oh
yeah, the easiest place is I'm on Instagram, Golding Art, JayGoldingArt, and then I also have links. I have my website, jgolding.art. All my links are pretty much there in the bio on my Instagram too. So, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for volunteering your time and efforts today, and for just, speaking with me today as well, and letting the people get to know a little bit more about you.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Dominique Cunningham. Give it up for Dominique as she comes to the stage. Well, welcome. Grab the mic. So, I know you as Dom.
Yes.
But to the people who are just meeting you, and I guess your fellow artists, they know you as Indiglo.
Yes, Indiglo.
And could you speak a little bit about where that comes from?
Yes. So Indiglo is actually like a portmanteau, which is like a combination of two words. So indie is like individual. Like I consider myself as being unique and someone who has like, my own perspective. And then glow is more so derived from the Ajna chakra, which is like your third eye. So it's like it glows. So it's like indiglo. So that's how it's derived. The crown chakra.
But not glow as how it's traditionally spelled. Glow is in like EAUX. Right?
Yes. So I chose the French way of spelling because like my name Dominique is a French name. So I just wanted to kind of keep the two like cohesive.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your influence. I know that I see the avant-garde cubism in your work.
Yes.
And how would you say your work differs from others in that same genre of art,
Well, I would say that there's definitely an avant-garde like cubist element, but a lot of it is just what I decided to do intuitively. Like, when I was a kid, I would draw people with triangle noses, and I kind of kept that theme because I like to treat like art as like a way for me to connect with my inner child. And also too, just the aspect of being inspired by like mythology and, deities and, being an artist that's also like reflective of the times.
It's interesting, as a musician myself, growing up and not being able to have certain facility over my instrument, or like have a weakness in that instrument, a weakness in that whatever I'm doing in that instrument, I kind of used it as a impetus to be good at, to use that weakness as a strength, Mm-hmm. So for me, it was I hit hard on the drums, right? Like I've always been known to like I play drums, but I hit hard on the drums. But like that's kind of like my staple. That like that's what I turned that into a strong
point?
suit, a strong point, yeah. And for you, you were talking about like the drawing noses as triangles, so it's interesting to like make the parallels in that way. But we can keep discussing a little bit about your influences. So speak to that a little bit. Like what's your greatest influence in your art?
Ooh, that's so tricky. Well, let me categorize. In the realm of like artists, I'm obviously inspired by, just kind of like what I consider to be like the divine trinity of Cubists or modern contemporary. I would definitely put George Condo up there, for speaking more so in the realm of like the last 10 to 15 years. In the last 80 or so years, Pablo Picasso and Matisse. So all three of them in one.
What specifically do you get from these artists for you, like, and you take from them that you would add to your own?
Well, for all three of them, I feel like, in my opinion, are masters of like depicting like the feminine form, and there's like a lot of aspects of like femininity that I imbue through my art, and then also too just being able to create a scene. I think out of the three, actually, George Condo kind of wins because, he's just so intentional with being able to capture elements of an emotion, a scene. He actually designed Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and he did a cover for every single. So when I immediately saw that, I was like, wow, like that's fire,
It's interesting you mentioned Picasso and Condo because I guess it's a segue into my next question in terms of if there was like a dream platform that you were a part of that hosts art, what would that look like for you in terms of like a certain museum or a certain institution that houses artwork?
Ooh, that would be so hard. Wow, you really got me. So I would first say the Guggenheim because I'm a fan of architecture, and I'm not really sure if Zaha Hadid designed it. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of structural elements that are very similar to my pieces in the realm of like shapes, circles, triangles. So I love that. And I would put the Whitney or the MoMA. Maybe the MoMA as number one because like when you made it to the MoMA, it's like you're official,
Okay. Well, could you speak a little bit to your artwork that you bought today?
Yeah, so I brought two of my pieces. The first one is Atalanta. It's named after a Greek goddess who was like the I guess you could say the counterpart to Poseidon. And the reason why I named it that was because I really wanted to capture like divine femininity and like blackness and black femininity. So I always associate the color mauve, purple, colors in that family with, divine femininity and black womanhood. So I was really channeling that energy in that one. And then the second one I have is the trumpeter or the trumpeteer, whichever is the correct one. I'm pretty sure you know which one, but I selected that one because I really wanted to set the tone with the pieces that I'm in the art that I'm creating from this point on, which is more so, I think, depicting elements of like black joy and black people just having fun and not sequestering themselves to destitute or the oppression that's happening around them. That's also a revolutionary act. You don't have to always speak about oppression. You should. Advocacy matters, but also too when you have a balancing act of saying no matter what, no matter socioeconomic problems, no matter what's going on in the realm of government, if us as a people, we can empower each other and we can have fun and we can have a good time, we can listen to our jazz, our music, make abundant music, like that's the most revolutionary thing you can do aside from fighting the system. So yeah, that was the energy that I was channeling with like the trumpeter.
Well, her pieces are up for display and to buy as well in the corner over there. Where can the people find other artwork of yours?
Yes, so for the people that are standing here, I have a QR code with all of my links.
And for the live stream as well.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Yeah. And for the live stream as well, you can follow me at my Instagram, which is at INDIGLEAUX. And I'm currently working on the website, but the domain name would be indigloart.com.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dom, for your time.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Red. Give it up for Red. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good. How you?
I'm all right. So, let's get right into it.
Spotlight. Okay.
Sprite up here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
The name Red, where did it come from?
Good question. Everybody that's light-skinned is automatically called Red since childhood. Is that true? All light-skinned people?
My dad is called him. My dad's nickname is Red. So yeah.
Yeah. We all share that name. It's like a. No, I'm joking. I got that name in freshman year of high school during football season. Somebody just called me that, and then it kind of stuck.
You just use it as your artist name.
Yeah, that's my artist name. That was like my name, like growing up in the neighborhood. That was like what my friends called me.
Gotcha. So a little bit about you. You're born in VA, right?
I was.
So, all right. As a musician, Virginia is like the birthplace of like some of the greatest musicians, like Pharrell, Missy, Timbaland, Pusha. There's a bunch of artists that like are from VA that have left a musical footprint in the culture. Would you say that it's the same with the art scene as well? Are there like important visual artists that are from VA that you can speak towards, or is it just like more so music?
I don't know. Like, I hate to not plug Virginia artists, you know, if I got an opportunity, but I really don't know.
Or in the DMV area, you know, that you can think of.
I feel like I can name a few names, but I'm gonna leave somebody out, so I'm gonna do everybody justice. Say, you know, I don't actually know like what other, I guess, well-known artists are from Virginia. Like, I was born there, I lived there for a couple years, but I spent most of my life in Newark, New Jersey. So.
Gotcha. Well, can you speak to the Newark, New Jersey scene if you?
Yeah, now that one I know.
Okay.
Like that one.
All right.
Yeah. So in Newark, man, it's a lot of artists. I mean, Jay is from New Jersey. He be in the Newark art scene. He got like murals and stuff throughout the city. Like we worked together in the past. Yendor is like an arts organization. It was started by Rodney Gilbert, who's deceased right now, but he was like one of the people in Newark that kind of like strongly advocated for the arts and like provided opportunities to artists in like theater and visual art. I don't know everything he did, but he wore a bunch of hats. You might know Jerry Gant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Newark. He got a lot of sculptures still up throughout the city. I know other artists like Andres Brady, Eli Mint, I don't know his last name. The Art Alchemist, you know.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm plugging people, my bad, because it kind of slips me. But if you really want to know like Newark artists, I would say you can either go to Newark, or if you follow me on Instagram and then just go to who I follow, because I probably follow them. They would probably be in that list somewhere.
Gotcha. When you sent over your bio, the list of exhibits and projects you've been a part of is expansive, and it dates back from 2015 and even before. And I just wanted to ask you in person what your favorite exhibits were and why they were your favorites. What made them a good exhibit to you, or what did they do for the artist that other exhibits didn't?
Is this including like projects that I've done or just like art shows?
Projects and art shows.
So my all-time favorite project that I did was called Stimulus Package. And I still do it to this day. So it's like an ongoing thing. I started it in 2020. So basically, I like paint outside, like in the street. I started off at bus stops. And then from bus stops, I started doing like literally on like street medians and stuff like that. But that's probably like my favorite. That's kind of like make my heart smile to do that. Like I had some, real like close moments with God doing that type of work because I gotta like work with the weather. Or like if you outside, you kind of in the public, so anything can happen. But I feel like it was kind of like a very spiritual experience. I feel like I learned a lot from it, and the impact, I would say, because it's one thing to like paint in the studio. You could be as nice as you want to be in your basement, and nobody will ever know. And you could be like here today, gone tomorrow. Like you die, nobody's seen your work. It's fire, but like nobody ever seen it. So it's like, what good does it do? So like that project really like fed me spiritually because like I started off in Newark. I grew up in Newark. Growing up in Newark, it's kind of like known to be like, not the nicest place. Now it's kind of changing. Jersey club music and all that is like giving it, it's kind of like a soft power in a way, like how they use like the culture and arts as like a soft form of power as opposed to like guns and stuff like that. But like when you think Jersey club, you think dance. So if you associate that with Newark, you're not thinking like the negative history. You're thinking like, oh, it's a place I could probably go hang out, chill, kick it, whatever. So like growing up in Newark and experiencing it firsthand and then like looking around, I felt like this was my way to like give back, like to do something different. Because in the city, like, and I'm pretty sure it's still that way today, but I'm a little bit removed, so I don't really know. But like, it's kind of like we encouraged to do the wrong thing. Like we kind of like raised to like, me not like you, because you black and I'm black, and I look at you, we supposed to like ill grill each other, or
you live in a different street.
You live on a different street, or you might like the same girl I like, and I can't have that. Or like it's mad like almost like these invisible puppet hands behind the scenes, like pulling the strings, like why the water is like it is, why the school systems, why so many liquor stores, why so many Chinese stores, why we live in a food desert. It's like one grocery store or the corner store sell expired food. It's like mad stuff going on. I could go on that for days, but I'm saying like the project was like my way to like fight back against that. So in the same city where like maybe somebody, unfortunately somebody could have got hurt on this same block yesterday, but today I'm right here and I'm painting. And so it's like sometimes a family will ride past and, well, one time specifically, like this lady, she had her kids in the back seat of her car, but like, if you could see a kid's eyes, like kids already have like this like broad imagination. So like just seeing like, man, that kid probably really inspired. Like he probably paint or whatever he do in the house. But like seeing somebody in the street do that, because I remember growing up, we had like these kind of like hood celebrities, like D-Dog or Oogie. If you're from Newark, you know who D-Dog is, you know who Oogie is. And it was also this albino brother, I don't know his name. He was albino, he was a Rasta, he had locks, he used to ride a bike, but he always stood out. But I mean, he albino, so he kind of like glowed while he riding a bike down the street and you see him. So it's always like these figures in the hood that like stood out. And I feel like it also fed me because I felt like that. Like I felt like this is weird and I'm doing it in public, but like the kid that's seeing me might be inspired by that. Because when I seen the albino Rasta, I'm like, that's a little strange. That ain't something you see every day. But it's inspiring to like, everybody's weird actually in their own way. It's just some people like conform more than others, or like some people like, oh man, I don't want people to really know I'm weird because then they're gonna judge me. It's like, it's okay. You wanna paint, you can paint. You wanna sing, you can sing,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of weird, I did a weird thing in college. I actually went to school for accounting, but I ended up being an artist. Yeah. And I saw that you went to school for philosophy and psychology, and I just wanted to know like how you got there and how you got here now as an artist. How do they exist together?
Yeah, great question. It's all the same thing. Like philosophy, psychology is the same subject. It's just like depend how you cut it. Like I had a lot of like epiphanies in undergrad. Like I don't know, for like weeks on end, I would just have like a new realization every week, and it started hitting me like when you go to school, you got like math, science, history, gym, like all these subjects, but like subjects is just like parts of the object. So if you put all the subjects together, you're studying one thing, it's just like, it would be a lot for me to tell you about math, science, English, all in one sitting. So I gotta explain it to you separate, but like when you go back and like once you understand what I said, you could put it all together and you could see like the full picture. So with psychology and philosophy, like yeah, they two separate disciplines, but essentially it's the same thing. And art is a separate discipline, or at least it seems like it on the surface. But when you actually get into it, it's the same thing, because I'm saying what I would say in a philosophical paper using imagery. Or like some things I might not even realize because that goes into the psychology, like tapping into the subconscious. I could put something in a painting that I don't even know is there, because it could be my blind spot. Or if you look at it from like, I guess like a spiritual side of it, like sometimes, like most of the time when people ask me what's in the painting, I leave it open to like interpretations, what you see. Because you might get something out of the painting that I never put in there purposely. I don't even know it's there, but it means something to you. And so I think that's like the powerful part about art. Even when you read something, I could read a book and the author might have meant one thing. I don't know what they was talking about. Maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe I don't read that well, so some of the words ain't make sense. But some way or another, I got my own meaning out of it. And so that's like the powerful part of like, to answer the question, they're all the same to me, but like it's good that it leaves room for like people to come to their own conclusions or own understanding, because who knows how that pushes the plot of their life story. Like if they the main character in their story, maybe they had to like experience that art at that moment on that day at that time, or like maybe they read it and it didn't make sense to them, but they needed it to not make sense because later on in the story, it's like, oh, you know, that kind of helped with everything. Like Spider-Man's aunt has to die for the plot of the story so that he could actually become who he needs to become. It's kind of like that.
I see. Well, could you speak a little bit about your artwork that you bought today?
Yeah, I'm very proud of this work, I would say. So the first one is called Divine. It's the purple one right here. And it's really paying homage to, I guess, my tribe, like a Black American tribalism. Growing up in Newark it wasn't always easy. So we kind of found brotherhood and like allegiances, or like, you know, you kind of protect who protect you, you know? And so for me, one of the reasons I could sit here and be an artist is because I didn't have to trap. I ain't have to like use violence to like survive. But some people literally like, it's kind of like they were coerced to do that. So, and y'all may have relatives, like a lot of people that aren't like in the streets have a relative that's in the streets. So this is like my homage to like the people that lived a different lifestyle from me but looked out for me, and kind of like almost like angels on earth in a way. Like, you know, like you might just be, you want to be an artist, you want to be cool, but you walk down the block and somebody try to take your painting, what you gonna do? You know, so it's like having them people in your corner that support you, like, nah, he not the one, like, nah, don't take his painting. Like, nah, let him rock, let him paint, or nah, he good at school, let him do school, or he good at basketball, let him do that. Like, he don't gotta be out here trapping. Or like you got some people that, even though they live a certain lifestyle, they know like, nah, that's not for you. Or like, I want something different for my offspring. Because some people do stuff they won't let their kids do. But it's not like, I don't think it's about like being a hypocrite. It's just like you understand like you made certain sacrifices, but you trying to like look out for the next person. So this was like me acknowledging like, yo, people really looked out for me. I probably wouldn't be in this position because, you know, I've been robbed before. I've had some hood experiences before, and I just wanted to acknowledge like the people that supported me through all of that and like, you know, helped me survive to this day. And then the other one, I guess it's like a brown. It said brown on the paint tube, but I don't. It's a certain type of brown. I don't know. But that one is called Frustrated, and that one basically, it's just a feeling, you know. It's just a. When I was doing a stimulus package project, well, I'm still doing it, but at one point I decided to like do a tour. So I went around like the U.S. and then like I went to Tijuana. This is all during COVID, but I tried to go to Canada, but I couldn't get in because they had like closed the border. But I did, you know, I went all the way to the edge, and they told me I had to go back because I didn't have a reason to be there. But my point being, on that, police used to stop me. I had a ticket. I had to go to court. Like, they tried to tell me that I was breaking the law or something. They wouldn't even tell me what law I broke. Like, I'm sitting in the middle of the street. I'm painting. I'm minding my business. I'm trying to inspire somebody, you know, somebody see it. They like, oh, yeah, cool, he painting, so I could go use my talents, pull my talents off the shelf and do something. Here come a cop, you know, and no shade to all cops, but, like, there is, like, a undertone of, like, police terrorism that goes on. Like, they be wilding sometimes, like, power tripping. And so, basically, a cop wrote me a ticket for, what he put on it? You know how they, like, make stuff up just to, like,
Get a quota.
Yeah, like he gave me obstruction of streets with a vehicle. Now, how this makes sense, though? How am I obstructing the street with a vehicle as a pedestrian? Like, did that make sense?
No.
But then, like, they say you innocent until proven guilty, but when I went to court, I had to prove I was innocent. So that's frustrating. So that kind of captures that emotion. It's like, damn, I want to whoop his ass. Like, you've seen Django. The scene when Django like got the whip and he like whipped the overseer, it's like that validation. It make your heart smile just to watch it. I feel like we need more content like that, but that's the same spirit I felt when I made that, because it would be dumb for me to like put my hands on him. But I could paint whatever I want. He can't, you know, he can't stop me there. So that's like my space where I could like let that out, because it kind of irked me a lot, you know.
Yeah. Well, where can the people find your artwork?
Yeah, I'll be on the street near you soon. You can find my work at, my website is themuseumofred.com. And my Instagram is fineart_red. So either one, you can find me.
Well, appreciate you, Red. Thank you for coming out. Give it up for Red, everyone. And last but not least, we have our last artist, Zalika Foy. Give it up for Zalika. How you doing? All right. How you doing? You all right?
All right. How are you?
You almost didn't make it today, huh?
Yeah, it's been a day.
It's been a day. Well, glad you're here.
Thank you.
Zalika.
You know I'm shy, so.
Urbaan Misfit.
Yes.
Where does that name come from?
Well, I was trying to think of what I wanted to call myself maybe about 10 or 11 years ago when I decided I wanted to take art seriously. And I thought about how much I just love cities. And I picked the word urban basically because when you think of the word urban, I don't know about everyone else. When you look it up in the dictionary, it just says a city, basically. But when I think of the word urban, I think of a city of beautiful Black people and culture and everything that falls under that, and that's why I picked urban. And misfit, basically, because I just always just feel like I didn't belong to a certain group. And that was basically the reason, yeah.
Is there a reason why you spell urban with 2 A's?
Just to be different.
Just to be different, gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Well, in your bio, it says that your art kind of teeters between realism and abstract. Mm-hmm. Would you say that you lean towards one more than the other, or is it just like a perfect blend of both, depending on the day or what you're feeling?
It's definitely what I'm feeling. Sometimes I just want to take real life and put it onto a canvas, and that's where you see me mostly painting Black women. And then there's some days when I'm just like, I want to take realism and make it my own, make it look how I view, like, I guess, chaos in the world on top of realism, and just putting that together. Or just like what I would think that the person in the painting is thinking. For example, the painting I have in the middle, I'll explain that one later, but you can see the child on the left. I feel like in their brain, everything is more chaotic, and the other person is just calm, and that's why I guess I just took that abstract and showed it with that, if that makes sense.
Nice. Well, I know you had a e-commerce business in 2016 you started that kind of specialized in urban apparel.
Yes.
And streetwear, I guess. Would you say that, like, is the process different when it comes to kind of making art for consumption versus making art for, just for creativity and for yourself?
Yes. So when I started that, I don't know if everyone knows what Tumblr is here, but Tumblr was like popping then. So I started putting my hats on there, and I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, people would reblog it, and that was that. And it ended up taking off. Thousands and thousands of people reblogged. I had hundreds of orders every week, and honestly, it kind of killed my inspiration, and I didn't want to paint for a while. I didn't paint for a while. I realized that I was doing it to make money, because at that point it was my main source of income, especially because I was making so much money doing it, and it killed my drive for art. I did not want to paint. I didn't do any other like canvas paintings or anything else. Everything I did was geared towards hats, apparel, sneakers, everything I was doing, and it was great. I think every artist wants to have basically their art funding their life, but if it's not something that you're really passionate about, or you lose the passion while you're doing it, it doesn't feed you anymore. You don't want to, I guess, keep going. My passion is painting on canvases and wood and things like that, and just more creativity. I feel like when you're painting on hats, you kind of just have that small space to do the same thing over and over and over and over, because that's what's being ordered. So,
Gotcha. Just want to piggyback on that, on what you said a little bit. For me, as an artist, as a musician, sometimes when I have that like writer's block, or I can't think of anything to create, like if I'm making music or anything, for me, I can't listen to music. I can't like hear anyone else, because it kind of influences what I'm trying to do, or I'll just get in my own head about me not being able to create at the moment. I was wondering, what do you do in those situations when I'm sure you have your own, like, is it called like artist block for you guys too? Yeah, when you have artist block as well?
I actually just came out of artist block. I couldn't paint for like, I want to say 2 years straight. I had no inspiration. I had no drive to paint. I would think about painting constantly. Art's always on my mind, but I didn't feel the drive to actually sit in front of a canvas, and even when I would try, nothing would come out. So usually I would go to galleries, put on some headphones, put on some music, and just, I guess, get inspired by other people's art. But I really feel like art in general is just, I guess, moved by your emotions and what you're going through. And if you feel, I guess, you have too much going on in your head, it's kind of hard sometimes to get it out on canvas. So to answer your question, when I'm feeling that artist block, I just go to galleries, listen to music, and just see what comes out when I get home. Usually right after I come from a day of like museums or galleries, I want to paint that night. I want to paint the next day, and I try to just keep going from there. And if I lose it, I come back and I do the same thing over again.
Gotcha. You mentioned earlier about how you like to paint black women, or it's inspired by black women, your art. I'm not, excuse me for my ignorance, but I'm not too well versed in like black women who are visual artists, or who are there's like some that are kind of that influence you, or that you're like a fan of, that you could kind of let people know about?
Honestly, not at the moment. I'm still learning. I'm self-taught. Everything about art is self-taught. I'm still learning, and I find people through Instagram, through galleries, and lately, I guess my newest find would be, I guess everyone here knows Bisa Butler. I think her stuff is amazing, and I've just been like kind of deep diving into her work. But as far as that, I'm still learning people.
Gotcha. Well, could you speak a little bit about your art that you bought today?
Yes. So I will start with. I'll start with the painting of Miles Davis, which is the one on the, depending on where you're sitting, he's holding the trumpet. I actually made that earlier this week, and I wanted to do it mostly for this night, especially because I grew up on jazz. My dad is back there. He's always played jazz since I was little, and when I was younger, I guess I didn't appreciate it as much, and then I find myself now playing it more than anything else. It honestly keeps me calm. When I'm painting, it makes me focus. I like that I don't have to listen to someone's lyrics, and I kind of can just like be in my own zone. So I decided to do the painting of Miles Davis, especially because I just like the original picture. You can see how focused he is. He kind of wants to drown out everyone else's noise. So in my head, I feel like he was waiting for his turn in the song maybe that was coming up, or just like, I don't know, I just love he just seems like he's in solitude and just ready to create, and that's what I loved about it. It's originally a black and white picture, but I wanted to kind of incorporate a little bit of abstract into it, and just put my own spin on it. And then the middle picture is, I call it Guardians. I painted this within the 2 years that I could not paint. I worked on this painting for probably 2 years straight, and it's one of my least favorites. But I actually came across someone randomly when I was out with my friend, and we started talking for a little bit, and I mentioned that I was an artist, and she asked me what I was currently working on, and I said I had been working on the same painting for forever, but I don't feel connected to it. I don't feel connected to art right now. I can't really paint. And she was just like, I just want to let you know what you're currently working on is for you. It means something to you. It's what you're currently going through, and you're going to put it out onto the canvas. So I still look at it, and I'm trying to figure out what that means. But it's half that, and then the other half, the painting just reminds me of me and my sister. We're very opposite. Extremely opposite. You see my mom shaking her head. And I'm more of the calm one, and my sister is just like, she's going to do what she wants when she wants, and she doesn't care. She's just she has her own personality. And I feel like that picture just kind of depicts us very well. Like, you see the person on the left that's just kind of chilling. The square around his head is kind of just showing solitude and like in his own brain. And then you see the child on the other side that's just like, as you can see the drawings on the face, it's just all over the place. And that's kind of how I view me and my sister. Like, we're just our own people, but I guess, I don't know. You see I'm stuck on that one. And then the last one is, I did that about 2 weeks ago. I haven't named her yet, but I am constantly challenging myself. I'm in competition with myself when it comes to art, and I'm always trying to challenge myself in how can I make my painting look more realistic every single time. So that's basically what I was going for this one. I'm always, again, painting black women and black beauty, and I really feel like that we are the most beautiful people ever, so I just like to pick that in art, and that was the goal for that one. I was kind of challenging myself, how can I make her look real, but also I wanted to make her a different color just to add that, I guess you can call it abstract, because you don't see pink people walking around, but yeah.
You speak to that, what's that? Is that the coffee table there?
Oh yeah, I forgot about it. So The leg actually broke earlier today, but it is a coffee table. If anyone follows me, you might have seen the original painting I did 2 years ago that has been sold now, but I wanted to make her into a coffee table because I love that painting so much, and I'm like, oh, I don't have it anymore, but I also never made a coffee table in my life. I've never worked with wood in my life up until I made that table. And I just ordered a jigsaw offline, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. So that's how I made that. And ever since then, I'm like, I wanna make more. I wanna make tables, side tables, benches. I just wanna figure out more ways that I can spread my art that doesn't have to be only on canvas.
Well, where can the people find your artwork?
Everything is under Urbaan Misfit with 2 A's. My website is urbanmisfit.com. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everything is Urbaan Misfit.
Urbaan Misfit.
Yes.
Give it up for Zalika, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. The lights are kind of bright, so I can't really see everyone back there. But if you're on the live stream, it's about 200 plus back here. But thank you guys for coming out tonight. But please, before you go, please introduce yourselves to the artists. If you have not talked to them yet, please look at their artwork, follow them, because these artists are incredible. Their work is incredible. And they took the time out to be here and showcase their art. And it's also for sale tonight. So if you see anything that is speaking to you in a way that you want to kind of take it home with you, please, tonight's the night to do it. And all the proceeds will be going to the artist tonight. And usually that's not the case. So my name is Gengis Don. Make sure you tell someone. Make sure you speak to someone you haven't spoke to before tonight, because this is what this event is all about. It's about networking in Harlem, networking in New York, and bringing together different avenues of creativity. So, me being a musician, but hosting a art exhibit is a testament to that. We got Annie Warhol on the ones and twos tonight. She'll be spinning until 9 p.m. tonight, but in the meantime, you guys can mingle and say hello to each other. And don't forget to stop by and say hello to the artists as well. So have a good one, you guys.